Hey there everyone, hi, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. I am Alex the Hugmonger. I am the Group Hug Commander. I really enjoy playing Commander, EDH, whatever you want to call it. In particular, I like Group Hug and I like politics. And I know it's been a bit since I've last set to talk about any of the cards in Magic the Gathering, but there was one that came out here recently that has me particularly excited. You see, it's not often in the group Hugosphere that we get brand new cards, brand new tech for our decks that might help improve it in some way. Murders at Karlov Manor happen to bring us one. One that actually has me particularly excited, as this card is kind of a child of, I would say, Howling Mine and Necropotence. This card, of course, being Expedited Inheritance. Expedited Inheritance is probably one of the first group hug cards I've seen come out that's like significant in a couple of years, probably, in quite some time. And it is an entirely new introduction to the group hug thing, coming off of the back of actually the Doctor Who set and its central mechanics. So, Expedited Inheritance is a red enchantment for 2 red, which is fairly unique amongst the mana costs of spells in Magic the Gathering. There's no colorless cost. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, its controller may exile that many cards from the top of their library. They may play those cards until the end of their next turn. So, first things first, this has insane draw potential. If you swing in at all with any creatures and they get blocked, you're going to get to draw a bunch of cards. Even if it's just you swing in with like a 3/3 and they block with a 1/1, that's just a free 1 draw. However, what's more likely going to happen is the whole mix-up of creatures that are hitting creatures across the board are going to create an explosive amount of draw. So if you swing in with 5 1/1s and your opponent has like 3 2/2s or something like that, well, I mean, that's 6 cards drawn for you, 3 cards drawn for them, because it is based on the total amount of damage those creatures are taking. Now, each creature takes separate instances of damage. It does not count all of that damage as one instance. This is important for the May part of this card, because May means that you're not going to be having to draw out your entire deck if you play, say, a Star of Extinction and deal 20 damage to every creature in play. This is going to keep you alive. The next thing that's important here is, of course, if you swing in with a bunch of creatures and your opponent has like a 10-10, do you want to impulse draw 10 cards? The answer for me is always obviously, but it is going to be important for, like, your opponent's not necessarily going to get milled out, because this is a symmetrical effect. So keep that in mind. If you use Expedited Inheritance and you swing in with a 10-10 and they chump block with a 1/1, then they get to impulse draw 10 cards as well. Now, I've had this card come up in one game, but it genuinely changed the course of the entire game, as my opponent swung at me with like 20 damage worth of creatures. I blocked with a bunch of chumps, and I was able to impulse draw 20 cards off of it, at which point I went from trying to slowly eke out a win to actually winning the game, because I'm running a Storm combo group hug Spellslinger deck. I really want to make a video on that, but it's hard for me to make deck videos. They're very boring, and I could just be playing Magic instead. I'm sorry. But the card gives you just an insane amount of draw. There is a lot of risk to it, but that's how group hug works. That is the nasty deal that we make when we make group hug decks, is we say we're going to give our opponents things, but we are going to win. Remember, we're going to try to win using our group hug decks. But honestly, this piece of tech is incredibly amazing. Now, back before the set released, this card was going for like $18. That was incredibly high price. I was actually thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to afford this card at all. And then it tanked down to like $4. I'm like, okay, I'll be able to afford a couple of copies. Then on Card Kingdom, it went down to $2, and I was like, girl be looking pretty good right now. So I ordered 5 copies of it. And I think it's around $1 or $2 right now. So, ooh, you're in the red MTG Finance stuff. Whatever. Nobody cares about MTG Finance. We are here to play cardboard rectangles. And this is a particularly spicy one. It's this. Listen, I will eventually figure out where things are in correlation to me. It could be over here, and I'm really bad at spatial awareness. But it's a particularly spicy piece of cardboard rectangle that I think more people should be playing. If you have experience with Expedited Inheritance, let me know. I want to know how well other people are doing with this, because it feels like something that this reminds me of old Necropotence, which I know isn't exactly the same thing. Necropotence was free black mana for an enchantment that read win the game. I mean, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. You can do this any number of times per turn, and then at the end of your turn, you'll pull all those cards into hand. You just can't draw cards during your draw phase anymore. Honestly, that last part doesn't really matter. Not being able to draw cards when you can draw every card in your deck using your life total it's inconsequential. You just use it in storm combos, and this card reminds me of that for storm combos of the current world. But I don't know. I don't know. It maybe other people don't have the same experiences with this. Maybe it's actually not as good as it looks. I think that this card with a card like Pyrohemia, which is like, is it two red? two red? Whatever. It's like really cheap, and then you pay 1 red into it and deal 1 damage to all creatures and to all players. Fantastic card with Expedited Inheritance. There's the black version if you want to play Rakdos Group Hug, which is a nightmare sentence. But if you want to try Rakdos Group Hug, you just run Pestilence and Pyrohemia, pay 1. They're just color shifted versions of one another. I'm not explaining it again. But they sound pretty good as like combo pieces in your Group Hug Spellslinger deck, which Group Hug Spellslinger, I swear I'm going to do a video on that eventually. But if you are interested in more stuff from somebody who likes politics, likes Commander, and likes Group Hug, hopefully you've enjoyed this. And if you are interested in more stuff from somebody who's looking to connect more with positive members of the community, I have recently featured on at least 1 stream, and I have done 2 recording videos so far where I'm chatting with other members of the community, trying to help build ideas for a better Magic community. I've gotten to talk with Senior Coupon and Steel City staff, both of which were absolutely lovely people, and I have a couple of those coming up as well. If you are somebody who is trying to create a more positive space in the Magic the Gathering community, if you are taking active community building efforts, please reach out to me. I would love to chat with you about what it is you're doing. And if you're actually looking to get a Group Hug player into your pods, reach out to me as well. I will have my Discord info in the description below, as well as how to reach me on Twitter. But I think that is enough for now. If you are interested in more stuff from the perspective of somebody who likes politics, likes Group Hug, and likes Commander, well, hopefully I didn't ramble too much.